Before we start, please check out our new podcast, Good Sleep. Have you ever noticed how a calm mind can really set the stage for a good night's sleep? That's the idea behind our new podcast, Good Sleep. Greg, our host from Optimal Relationships Daily, is here to help ease you into a peaceful night's rest with some positive affirmations. And these affirmations aren't just comforting, they can help ease anxiety and nurture positive thoughts, setting you up for true good sleep. So press play on Good Sleep tonight because a good tomorrow starts with a good night's sleep. Just search for Good Sleep in your podcast app and be sure to pick the one from Optimal Living Daily. This is Optimal Living Daily episode 2926, How to Be the Best Version of You a Lot More Often by Pietrangeli with tinybuddha.com. And I'm Justin Malik, your very own personal narrator. This is where I read to you every day covering mental health, minimalism, productivity, happiness, all that fun stuff. I do my best to get permission from authors to read their amazing articles to you to help make your day a little bit better. And my day too, of course. So with that, let's get right to it and start optimizing your life. How to Be the Best Version of You a Lot More Often by Pietrangeli with tinybuddha.com. Quote, "In chaos, there is fertility." Anais Nin. Are you a calm creature in your yoga class, then you get home and yell at your kids? Do you ever read a really inspirational book or blog and think, yes, that totally makes sense, and I'm going to start doing that, and then life gets busy and it never quite happens? Do you ever feel like you're two different people living in the same body, saying one thing, doing another? Me too. For the past 15 years, I've been a self-development junkie. I've read tons of books and I've attended courses and loads of amazing workshops. These covered everything from parenting to time management, relationships to getting organized, healthy eating to setting up a business, plus anything to do with spirituality and personal growth. All of these have inspired me with an array of fantastic ideas, but often they remained just ideas floating around in my head without any action plan behind them. On the mat at my local yoga center, I was the calm, peaceful, positive soul I craved to be. Yet when I got home and re-entered my chaotic reality, it felt like just a temporary illusion. I was straight back to my grumpy, irritable, impatient other self. What was wrong with me? How could I be so Jekyll and Hyde? How could I more consistently be the me I loved being around? I was writing in my journal one day when I began to list the qualities I show when I'm being my best version of me. Kind, lighthearted, playful, calm, relaxed, positive, and present. I knew what brought out the best in me: yoga, inspiring workshops, running in nature, laughing with friends, dancing my socks off, getting stuck in an amazing book. Then I listed what the poor version of me looks like: irritable, impatient, snappy, short-fused, negative, and mind spinning in overdrive. I asked myself, what brings out the poor version of me? I'm feeling overwhelmed with a lot on my plate, too much on my mind, trying to figure things out in my head, rushed, running late, tired, and not enough me time. And it occurred to me that since I know what brings out the worst in me, why not look at each of these things and find ways to make them happen less often? I realized that I needed to get a handle on the day-to-day running the show stuff. To tackle overwhelm and having too much on my plate, I began to take a deep look at my time management. I learned how to say no, to delegate, and to structure my days better. I began to prepare for success by meal planning, laying clothes out for myself and the kids the night before, and I was thinking one step ahead about what I need to take with me before going out the door so I could feel calm and confident that I wasn't forgetting anything. I began to feel less rushed. I was on time. Then I got back into a regular journal writing habit. I also had weekly scheduled brain dumps to get things out of my head and onto paper so I could figure things out. I crafted step-by-step action plans to get organized and on top of everything that needed doing. Instead of spending my evenings slumped in front of the TV or scrolling mindlessly on my phone, I started having regular candlelit baths and getting into bed earlier, curled up with a good book. It was the me time I always craved, but never thought I had space in my day for. And I was consistent with it. I was finally implementing a lot of the great things I'd read about, and I felt the best version of me coming out more often. Once I got on top of the logistics, I felt less stressed and overwhelmed. It was easier to be more mindful and present. I began a daily practice of checking in with myself, asking, how am I feeling? Listening to the answers and using them to guide me. After a lifetime of telling myself, I'm not a morning person, I began to wake 15 minutes before the children and use this quiet time to write in a gratitude journal or meditate using an app on my phone. It's helped me stop being so cranky at breakfast and send my kids off to school peacefully and with love. It took recognizing what brings out the worst in me to turn things around. It didn't happen overnight, but by taking baby steps in the right direction, I got there. Now I'm able to be my best version of me in my everyday life, not just on the yoga mat. If you want to be your best version of you more often, write your answers to the following questions. I feel like my best version of me when blank. How I feel about myself when I'm the best version of me. It's easier to be my best version of me when blank. And I'm a poor version of me when blank. What can I learn from these insights? And what new habits can I create to make it easier to be my best version of me? You just listened to the post titled, How to Be the Best Version of You a Lot More Often by Pietrangeli with tinybuddha.com.
This episode is brought to you by Pete's. Few things start your day better than a good coffee. That's why Pete's hand roast their coffee from a specific selection of high-quality beans. And they don't just put those beans into anyone's hands. Pete's trains their roasters for 10,000 hours so they can master the roast that gives you the most. Pete's Coffee. Coffee for coffee people. Find Pete's online or at your local retailer.
Thank you to Katie. Big point there. You can listen to this podcast all day long, but if it's completely passive, you won't reap the benefits nearly as much as someone who's trying to implement at least some of it. I definitely don't expect you to implement everything or even half of it. I don't. But at least see what resonates with you and try some new things out. That's probably the hardest step, but once you start, it does get easier and easier. The other day I mentioned how I track every penny in and out of my life. I've been doing that since 2010, and it did start out as a headache. Now it's easy and I don't even think about it or dread it. It's just what I do. And that could happen with other things too, like journaling, being mindful or meditating, and so on. It's all possible for us. We just have to make the time and get moving, and you'll definitely get some good results. Another thing from the article that I thought was great was the exercise of thinking about your best qualities, then what the poor version of you looks like, and then listing the things that brings out the poor version of yourself and trying to figure out ways to make those things happen less frequently. It's a great idea for a journal entry, I think, so something to try out. Let me know how it goes. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow for the Friday show, where your optimal life awaits.